Hello guys, hello back to community. Today we have Dr. Haridas with us. We're so welcome to be here with you. It's beautiful that you brought us into this amazing space and you're there sharing your joy with us and your light. So you've been traveling around the world, you've been hosting yoga teacher trainings, Kundalini yoga teacher trainings, you're speaking at the conference. What brought you there? What have been your pathways to that place where you're right now in your life?
Thank you. For me, it's been about service. I wanted to go and find where can I get more energy? Where can I find my potential and how do I live my fullest? Because I think the worst part is if I didn't go find something that fulfilled me. Because I've been on a quest for many, many lifetimes, let's say that. And I've been looking in different places, but once I found Yogi Bhajan and his teachings that spoke so clearly to me, then I realized this is the way. This is the way out of pain, this is the way of liberation, and this is the way of being sovereign, living in your own light, fully, completely, knowing that you are a part of something major, and that's on a cellular level from God. You're made of God. So if we could live that, then we'd be in the best, amazing place.
So what's your top three, let's say, recommendations for the people who don't have much to do with yoga but who always want to just start to live from this place of God, to live out of this place of service? What could they do in their everyday life?
To remember that you are not yourself, you are not your thoughts, you are not your mind, you are not your patterns. But if you close your eyes and go into that deep space of silence and stillness, in which you merge with the universal creator, then that's all you ever need to know, that you're timeless and you're bountiful and you're beautiful and you're perfect. And there's no need to look for anything outside of you because it's all from within. Because you are perfect, but we forget that. And we try to go and fill these gaps and these distractions, and it's just a form of running away versus just sit still and be in that stillness.
And who were you before this stillness and this space of silence reached your life?
I was in engineering school, graduated with engineering school. I got my master's in marketing and PhD in natural health, but I was just a searcher, a seeker of light. And, you know, the whole thing, all the healings, the natural healings and the herbal stuff and learning about traditional Chinese medicine, massage, and just all forms of healing. And then I realized from doing that kind of work for many years that I very much lacked boundaries. That thinking, if I could help somebody, the world would be a better place. But really, it's if I could get to know me and know who I am, then what about the world? The world is a reflection of the relationship I have with myself. So if you can be in that place where you're comfortable with yourself, it doesn't matter what happens in the world. You know you, and you'll be fine.
Beautiful. So how did your relationship with yourself has changed in the last, let's say, 10 years for you?
You know, I used to think that I was this little human on the planet, running around, making money, spending money, and living in a sort of matrix, but feeling unfulfilled. Just having plans, fulfilling plans, and just living and dying every day. And, you know, like how we do in yoga, you tune in, you wake up, and then at the end of Shavasana, at the end of the class, you die, and then that's your yoga practice. But what did it really mean to a young person? It's just yoga workout. What is yoga? It's just a workout. Santa Monica, come on, it was the 90s, and Santa Monica is a central of all that fad and all that fashion. But now, being in it for so long, everyone is searching for something. And it's not bad, it's not good, it's not any kind of judgment. That's the path they're taking right now. But it is leading them, and every step is a step to somewhere else. And so for my path, I realized it's about service. It wasn't enough to just fulfill me and make me happy. My happiness came with my spiritual name, which is given to me by the 3HO community, by the Niranjan who Yogi Bhajan trained to give us all of our names. It is Hari Das. Hari is the creative aspect of God, one of the many names of God, and Das is a servant or a slave to that consciousness. So technically, I'm the kind, creative princess who loves to serve.
Oh.
And when I got that name, I had no idea, like, am I all of that? Right? But it was an identity, and it was like the North Star. If I go in that direction, I will find my fulfillment.
So could you say that you grew into this name, into this identity?
Well, absolutely. Who wants to be a slave, right? Who wants to be a servant all the time? Because my ego is like, I don't want to be a servant. I want to be the one being served. You know, like, and then I had to develop a relationship with my name and understand, no, I become happiest when I'm serving. So, you know, for Bhakti Fest, I was first here not as a teacher or presenter. I'm the housing manager. I'm here to serve everybody, and I know almost everyone that's staying here because I have to email them, and they know me. So it's been all year long of communication, and then they realize, oh, you teach here. Like, yeah, I do that too. But most teachers, you know, you don't walk around saying, I'm a teacher, I'm a teacher. Actually, I'm a servant. How can I help you? What room would you like? You know, we're customer service agents in a way.
Yeah.
But isn't that all we are? Right? So if you don't have your good experience when you arrive, how are you going to feel about this place? Sure. So it's so important to me when people come that they feel welcomed, and they've had long journeys, and they have many questions, and I try to email people back within 3 minutes or less, because I just want people to know that we're with you. No matter how far you are, if you have a question, I'm going to get back to you.
Oh, that's a great service actually you're providing.
There's a lot of people here.
In all the different levels, my goodness.
But that's the name. It's Das. It's that servant to that Hari side of God. And that's a creative expression, but also it's very dynamic. It's not to sit there and meditate on God. It's go out there and do it. And get it done, and have the stamina and the strength and the focus to get all that done. You know, this is the householder's yoga.
Yeah.
We're not sitting here meditating. We're out there getting dirty and serving people, and with a smile on our face saying, thank you for letting me serve. Thank you for letting me be in that space and being so honored to be with you.
And in Kundalini yoga, you know, I love Kundalini yoga, but you better like have this stamina, you know, so before your shoulder's gonna fall off, right? So how do you actually incorporate this totally different approach, like, you know, because some people are, oh, love and light and the beautiful universe, you know, oh, get things done and then do and serve and be real. So how do you see those two different worlds merging together and having this balance in between those two, let's say, extremes? How do you see that?
You know, I don't think of them as extremes, because we have this idea called miri piri. One is of the earthly realm and one is of the spiritual realm, and you really can't have one without the other. That's why in our lineage we have something called warrior saints, that they're warriors out there, pull out their sword and will kill and fight ignorance and protect the innocent. And then they're the saints, and you can't have saints if you don't have warriors in the front protecting them. So
could one person incorporate both of those qualities?
Absolutely. That was the 10th Guru. That was Guru Gobind Singh. He was the warrior saint. I mean, there's so many of them that were saints, but it's the idea that if you hold a sword and you don't have that consciousness, you'd be a murderer. Yeah. But if you have the sword and you have the consciousness, you only know when you need to use the sword, because you would try to avoid it as much as possible. Just because you fight doesn't mean you should. Yeah. Right? So we have that consciousness to guide us, and that intuition and that consciousness with the intuition that creates who we are. And that's why when you do Kundalini Yoga, it increases your nervous system so you can handle as much stress as you can without falling apart. And that's why when we do our Kriyas, you should look for the point where you're at fatigue and you're about to quit, and your mind comes in and says, no, I can do this. I'm going to be victorious. Victory is mine. You know, like you own it. You say, yes, that's me. Versus, oh, this is too hard. I'm just going to stop now. And then look around and take a pause. Versus, I'm going to deepen my breath. Yes, it's 30 more seconds. I can do it. And this is the stamina that one must build at this time when things are so stressful. Instead of crumbling, instead of saying, I don't know, or I can't. This is where we go in. Inhale Sat, exhale Nam. It becomes that mantra. Every breath becomes that remembrance of, I'm not who I am. This is God in this body. I'm just expressed in this way so that others can recognize that I see God in you, I see God in you, and you, because Yogi Bhajan said, if you don't see God in all, you don't see God at all. So how can I be discriminating, oh, you're this and you're not? We're all God. We all have that within us, that godliness. We have Buddha within us. We have Christ consciousness in us. We're all of that.
Beautiful. Wow. So you're educating yoga teachers. And what would be your top What would be your... Thank you so much for your service and for your love. I really appreciate everything.
We have to ensure quality here.
I'm fully devoted to the service of this woman. Bye to you.
It is a yoga of awareness, you know, we're aware of these things.
Just do it. Do it right.
Absolutely, thank you so much. So you teach yoga for yoga teachers and you make them to finished yoga teachers. So what are your top 3 tips that you would give them on the way in this world right now?
First of all, never think of yourself as a yoga teacher, right? Because when you think about something like that, you polarize the situation. And I think it's funny that our trainings are called teacher trainings, because I never thought I'd be a teacher. I just wanted to take the course because I liked yoga. But what happens in teacher training is you change so much, you become so strong, you become so vibrant and radiant that it becomes infectious and you can't really hide from it. And people will say, oh, what are you doing? Your skin looks so amazing. Wow, wow, no makeup. Wow, you're so, wow, right? So you wow people with your presence and then they start to ask questions. Because if not, you end up being these yoga missionaries and then you try to spoon feed people yoga all the time and they get tired of you. So when I say, if you want to do teacher training, do it because you want to find out who you are. Let it be an authentic training of, you know, authenticity. It should be a training of authenticity.
Wow, I really love your authenticity and your real voice. So probably you will be one of the best people to ask about spiritual bypassing. How do you experience that, or how do you observe in your surrounding people experiencing that?
What is spiritual bypassing?
That's a good question. For everyone, it's a different thing. What is your outlook on that?
I'm not sure what that is. I think sometimes we use spirituality as a scapegoat or as an excuse or as a distraction to justify our bad behavior.
Like what?
Like, I'm so spiritual, I can't do that kind of work. That doesn't, that is damaging to my soul. I can't wash dishes, I'm sorry. I need to make more money. I need to do something that affords this lifestyle. My $80 yoga pants.
Ah, okay.
For instance, versus we wear cotton, you know, and it's made in India and it's probably $10. But there's this idea that if it looks good and it sells, then it must be good. And it's not true, because we're taught to take out the things that make you artificial, like makeup, perfume, fragrances, to hide ourselves, to not feel ourselves, you know, lotions that are super scented, that are just putting more stuff on. We're not putting more stuff on, we're taking stuff out. You know, grow your hair out, stop shaving yourselves, you know, things like that. Feel your antenna. Feel what it's like to have hair on your legs and in your armpits. Because did you know your hair only grows to the length that it needs to grow? After that, it stops growing. But if you're perhaps in a very stressful situation, like going through a very hard time at home, or divorce, or something financially difficult, your hair will grow to the length it needs to balance out your electromagnetic field. But nobody ever talks about that as a technology. They just think it's fashionable. Let's go get this haircut and dye it like this and do it like that. Versus, what are the ramifications of this action on my body and in my cellular frequency?
Wow. So where is in this whole world is for you the place where it's like your power place, where you come to this place, you really feel in your spiritual home?
It would have to be called Aquarian Sadhana. It's where we meditate at 4 a.m. We do it right here. 4 a.m. where we get together in a group, or whoever's around, and we chant our Japji. That's the scriptures that we read. And then we tune in and do our yoga and meditate, and as the sun rises, we finish and we emerge from this space welcoming the new day and knowing that's full potential and we're totally in alignment.
And this morning practice that gives you so much power that you go without sleep until 23 in the night. How does it work? Like, how do you guys do this magic through the day?
Naps. You gotta take at least an 11-minute nap. Okay, 11-minute nap. But also we take cold showers. take cold showers and stay away from caffeine and any kind of stimulants that are going to, you know, up and down your energy too much, like it'll modulate you too much. But also remember that your breath is very regulating, because in our practice we're helping to activate our hormonal secretions. So it's not just a workout, it's a workout in which you absorb the hormones and the cascading effect of hormones you have in your body. So that's why they say when you practice Kundalini Yoga, you look kind of young. Like you look younger than you are.
Yeah.
It's the wrinkle eraser.
That's true. You get so high from that.
Yes.
I really love that.
Yes, and the other thing is when I go to the Golden Temple in Amritsar, that's where we're going next month in October. It's in India. It's in the northern part of India, and it's the highest frequency in the sense of chanting. It's in the marble, and it's called the Golden Temple. Guru Ram Das built it, and that's where we go as a pilgrimage. So when you ask me where do I go, that would be the place of all places. Yes.
Beautiful. What is your adventure that you're very much looking forward to, but you're slightly scared?
Slightly scared. I don't have that word scared in my vocabulary. So I think it's thrilling and exciting and full of opportunities and challenges. But I don't feel scared in my life anymore. There's a fearlessness that we have because we have relied on our soul to lead us to where we are, and trusting in the universe that every moment is perfect. And if it's perfect, then it's perfect.
Wow, beautiful. What is, like you're here since 4 years, what would you wish more to happen in the space of Bhakti Fest? What would you think that would serve our community the best?
I would like to talk about the topic of seva, of selfless service. And we have a consumerism kind of mentality when we come here. Like we think it's any other festival and we just buy the ticket and we go attend, versus, hey, we're a community of people of love. We're here to love one another. So if we see trash, pick it up. If we see someone with extra heavy bags, carry it. If we see the bathroom flooded, call somebody, like facilities, and if they don't get to it, why don't we just do it? Why are we waiting for permission? Why don't we just take care of it ourselves? I would like to see more self-initiative. But that self-initiative comes from the idea that we are a community and we love one another and we take care of one another, versus I give you permission and and your job is to do this and your job. I don't want assignments. I want people to feel they're part of it all. And I'd love to see more families here and more family activities in which they're feeling engaged, versus watch my kids, I'm going to go do a yoga class, versus let's raise these powerful kids of the future and give them the technology and give them all the things they need to feel and know, so that in the future they are our leaders. So why don't we treat them like that? So I'd like to see more love for the children, and I'd love to see more love for one another. So instead of these long lines and people fighting to the doors and trying to get in different festivals and different workshop halls, it's like, hey, I'll make room for you. Come sit next to me. Why don't we do that? Why do we have these 3-foot bubbles around us? Why do we have to go full mats all the time? How about we have instill this policy of full mat, 3/4 mat, half mats? Because it's, these big teachers in certain locations, oh, I can't go to that. The line's so long. I don't want to wait 2 hours. It becomes like a rock concert, and it doesn't have to be that way. Everyone's welcomed into the space, except when you have to do certain workshops that requires laying down, then I guess we need to.
Then we can just cuddle and snuggle, isn't it? Oh, Dr. Hardas, thank you so much for your beautiful interview. It was a huge pleasure to have your spiritual warrior spirit with us. That was great.
Thank you very much, but there is not end yet.
Yes.
Irina, you don't know, but Dr. Haridas is in beautiful relationship with this fantastic man. Maybe not quite fantastic, but
he's wonderful. He's
Mario.
a gift of God.
Yes.
Really.
So please share some wisdom and knowledge about caring and building the strong, based on love relationship. Everything what we as a human can struggle with. Help us to build strong relationship.
Healthy spiritual relationship.
With your experience, with your wisdom, knowledge.
To develop a strong, loving relationship that is very intimate and full of passion requires you to, first of all, love yourself so much that you can give that to the other person. To be so authentic with you that no matter what the other person does, it's not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of them. And you don't take it personally. You just accept that's where they're at and don't try to change them. If you love someone truly, don't change them. Exactly, accept them the way they are. But if you wish for something more for them, it's called prayer. Pray for that person. Project for them and say, I married a millionaire. Well, not right now, but maybe in the future. But you don't tell them that. You pray for them and say, you're my best friend. I love you so much. Every morning you wake up and say, you are thank you God for this beautiful person in my life. Don't you think they'll feel that? Don't you think you wake up and say, how would they feel if you just, and just look at them so lovingly versus, did you take out that trash yet? And start going off on this list of and just like machine gun shoot them first thing in the morning. Like, who wants to wake up to that? It's crabby. Versus, what do you want to love that person or you want to control that person? That's the only question I have for you. If you want to control that person, then play your games. But if you want to love this person, grow old with them and support them, and my parents are 90 and dad still puts mom in the wheelchair and takes her to lunch every day. Aww. And I'm like, wow, that's love. And this whole time I thought they were arguing and fighting, but no, they're just deaf. Like they didn't have their ear thing on, but this is their language. And just because you see someone arguing, it doesn't mean they don't love each other. This might be their language of love. So forget about judging other people, look deep within yourself, and accept everything as it is. And every moment is perfect. If you can accept every moment is perfect, you don't have to change anything. So thank God. That means no more effort on your behalf. You just look at them and breathe it in and say, wow, wow, thank you, God. Look at this. This is indescribable ecstasy of God. This is so amazing. You're so amazing. And you just keep on saying that. You're so amazing. I love you. You're so wonderful. Thank you so much for taking care of me. And if you keep on saying that, the other person will feel it. Yeah, see? We're making some progress here.
Right.
Then we're doing something good. So look for the good in the other person. That's the main advice. Look for the good. Look for the good and focus on the positive things. Because we can complain about so many things. Don't get me started, right? But that's what the negative mind does. Because if you allow the negative mind to work the way it does, it just wants to get negative. It will go on a negative rant. But you can't afford any negativity in your life. Because once that mind starts, it's like a Google search.
You mentioned about loving yourself. Many people actually struggling with loving themselves and accepting this love for themselves because of many reasons that they had maybe in the past, in their childhood. How would you teach someone to learn to love themselves?
Okay.
How would you teach self-love?
Self-love.
Big subject.
Let's start with love and then acceptance.
Yeah, let's talk about love and acceptance. First of all, if you want to love, it starts with the letter P. It's called pre-forgiveness. Every relationship you have in your life is a sacred relationship. It's a sacred contract. It's almost like a karmic contract you have with that person. So the question is, why am I having this relationship? Is this a repeated pattern of my unresolved issues that I keep on attracting? And if that's the case, how am I going to free myself or heal myself from this wound so that I can move forward? Because if it's unresolved, what is it? It's a frequency that keeps on, like a satellite, calls out there for more of the same to come back. So if you could love yourself so much and say, okay, I'm not doing that anymore. I love myself too much to allow that to happen to me. This is not okay. If you start saying things in your life and go, wow, that was not okay, then you recognize the injustice. You recognize, you have the awareness now that something's wrong. But then reflect back and say, how was I a part of this? Because if you don't ask yourself, how was I a part of this, you end up automatically a victim of the situation. And if you're a victim so long, you end up losing your hope of ever getting out of that prison. And then you just get all depressed, and then you start blaming yourself. And then you start attracting those situations where you're the one being blamed all the time. So then the way out of it is to just love yourself and go, thank you for the lesson. It only cost me X amount of years and X amount of dollars, but thank you for showing me about myself. Because everyone is a mirror of you. So in that sense, wow, they're doing what I'm doing. And it's so easy to pick apart somebody else. It's so easy to point out your flaws and go, and you this, and you that, and you that. And you're like, whoa, what about me? I'm saying that because I recognize it because it's in me. So what if I don't say anything anymore? What if I'm just cool? I'm cool. You, girl, you wear whatever you want. You eat whatever you want, baby. That's fine. I love you either way. No problem, right? If you truly love someone, you will allow them to be, say, eat, drink, whatever they want. Because at that moment, that's where they're at. And if they want to eat that, but you're a vegetarian and they're eating that steak, that's why you do. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. But because we don't accept what's happening, we want to control it because of our own insecurities. And we can't allow them to just be them. Because if you truly loved someone, you would just breathe in there. You are so beautiful. I love everything about you. Accept them as they are.
Beautiful. Haridas. And how if somebody is, you know that somebody is doing something is hurting themselves. If you love this person, naturally you want to do the best for this person. You want to, give yourself as a servant to help them, and you know this something is hurting that person, and that this person doesn't understand that, doesn't see that. How you can? What would be your advice to manage this so you will be not controlling, but find a way to show them kind of a different perspective on what they're doing to themselves?
Okay.
Because I found, this very...
I think I understand your question. Your question is, how do you not help them, but how do you show them that what they're doing is hurting themselves?
Yes, because you see this something which they don't see, and you know that this is gonna hurt them, or hurting them already. So how you can help them to stop doing that or change something so they will see them by themselves, like, okay, this is not good for me, and this person doesn't really want to control me, but this person does actually truly want to help me.
Okay.
Because this is like very tiny, silver line, like between controlling, the good controlling and the bad controlling, right? Because the controlling doesn't have to be bad.
Right. Everyone influences everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever we say, someone is going to react to it. But if you think about deep change it has to come from within. That egg has to go through its own journey until it's ready, and then it cracks from within.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you crack an egg, externally put in that force from the outside, whatever's inside will die because it's not ready.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to point someone and then like point a flaw out, or say, hey, you could do this better, just realize you're opening a can of worms. Like, you better be ready for the backlash of the other person. And this is why relationships is so difficult, because you have to come from a place of love. And if you really love that person, you understand if you keep on poking them and you're going to take that negativity they're going to give you, that is also a form of love, because you're loving them enough to let them fight back until one day they're going to recognize it when they're ready. Because if you keep on, like a parent, if you parent, like you keep on saying it, they're not doing it, oh my God, they're not doing it. You have two choices. Either you are a parent who finds joy with this child and you have parental joy, or you have parental grief and you're like, oh, that kid again, oh, all the time. Versus, I've raised the best human being as possible. I gave them everything I could. No matter what, you're the best child ever. I'll stand by you no matter what. And if a kid grows up knowing that, they'll be so happy. Mom's always got my back. Mom, I had a fight in school. What happened, babe? you know, and then you tell mom, I was like, I got your back, it's good. You're fine. Whatever you did, I'm with you. Versus you get called in by the principal and then, you're, and they feel abandoned that moment because all of a sudden mom's like, I agree with the teacher, right?
What if the kid did something that is really not okay?
Then the kid would have to learn and face the consequences, right? But that's the only way anybody's going to learn. They have to go through their own journey. If you try to take their journey from them or take their karma from them, you take that karma on, and they haven't learned a damn thing. And in the meantime, you're trying to help, you're trying to help, you're trying to help, and in fact, you're causing more pain.
And as you mentioned this backup, you know, like the kids, they feel love and they feel support from parents. And I think these days, a lot of kids, a lot of new generations families, they don't have this bond like used to, where doesn't matter what, it's good or bad, we are family, we are fight, you know, together. So how you will help to find those kids which they didn't have this love, this base, solid base, how they can find this love, how they can get this strength and build this strength for themselves, even in the later you know, age.
What you don't get in your family, you will get in the world. That's what my mom used to tell me. If you don't find that at home, if you didn't learn that here, the world will teach you.
Latest. And not in the best loving way.
Yes. So you learn, your first teacher is your mom. Your second teacher is your dad, you know, and then it's your friends. And then eventually, if you're lucky, you're guaranteed to meet your spiritual teacher one time in your life. At least one time per lifetime. At least once you will meet your spiritual teacher. And at that moment, you can either run from that teacher or you run towards them. It's one or the other. And if not, you feel in the world you're abandoned, you're alone, you're searching. What do you think you're searching for? You're searching for your spiritual teacher. You're searching for a family that you didn't have. And that's why so many of us are at these festivals. We feel love here. We feel so much connection with other people, though I've never met you, but I love you. Why do we feel that way? But yet we go home and we're so irritated from home, right?
That's the spiritual attraction, this fine tuning into the people, where it goes there. How did you find? What been like your experience? How did you find this attraction to the spiritual attraction to your teacher? How did you recognize that?
Because I was searching for so long and I met a teacher that was so clear, and I had such an amazing experience every time I went to his class, and then I realized I'm growing and I'm expanding. But because my energy was growing and expanding and I wasn't quite directing the energy of it, I was getting lost, very confused in my mind. And my teacher would ask me certain questions, and of course I knew the answers. And then I realized this is what the teacher's for, to help you see your blind spots and direct you to where you need to go next, or show you what you haven't dealt with. And that's why I realized it was hard, and that's why I needed that. Because it's so easy for people to tell you how great and how wonderful you are. But to have that one person who has your back for a lifetime and know he's going to tell me the truth. I know I can lean on him. And that's what makes you a teacher, is you will be there for that person. Not to answer the daily questions of stress, but hey, I'm really lost right now, and this is why that spiritual teacher's there. Because when we practice and we have our lives, we get so lost and our ego gets so big, and then we think we're doing something and we don't need that teacher anymore. It's called Shaktipat. I don't need that. I'm already achieved. I'm at this level. I don't need that person. And to be a real student of life and to be a real yoga practitioner is to be humble, is to serve, and to be in that place where you get dirty like everybody else and you're not higher and above anybody. But the question is, what about these kids? What happens to them? And I tell you what happens to them. I've seen it. They grow up in broken homes, and which that's all of our homes now, right? The parents weren't there, and what happens is they get angry. And this is why I teach transforming anger to happiness at Bhakti Fest a lot, because we have this inner anger that hasn't been expressed, and so much of it is directed to these sacred contracts of our families, of our conditions in which we couldn't change when we were little, and we're running around with these wounds and this anger, and we act out to the people we love the most, and we don't understand why we're that way. So we have to go and get rid of this anger. We have to transmute this anger so that we get the flip side of it, which is pure energy. We are reclaiming pure energy so we can use it for the good versus use it to pull in more drama and commotion and emotion. So we go on these journeys in which we're looking for our authentic selves and surround ourselves with the people who have similar practices so that they can be our siblings of destiny. Like they're the siblings that are sisters and brothers that are going through this journey with us. And that's why we're so attracted massively to these gatherings. So that we can be together, so that we can start learning from each other.
Thank you so much for your wisdom, for your love, for your service, for your experiences from all different realms. Where and how can we see more of your work and follow you or see your journey?
Thank you. My website's drharidas.com, drharidas.com, and it's listed there, my upcoming events and trainings and workshops, and there's some YouTube videos out there. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Satnam.
Thank you very much, but this is not the end yet.
Okay,
No,
let me hold the camera. Let me hold the camera.
No, the last question. Dr. Haridas, so there is no more question for us, except this one. Please tell everyone who's gonna see this video, share something from your heart, whatever you feel.
Satnam, I'd like to tell you that you are made perfect, and the God that created you has made the best version of you. And if you can truly believe that and you can hear this message, go out and live your life fully, and go out and support others on their journey. Serve, as Yogi Bhajan says, serve and serve and serve. Serve until you can't serve anymore. Forgive yourself and keep serving, because that part of you that is serving uplifts your soul. And we need to get to that point where we don't say no, but we say yes because of the authentic part of you that has that energy to give. Don't just give and be depleted, because that's not giving. If you give and you're depleted, it's ego. So go to that place of soul where you're unlimited and you know how to navigate your life so that you're not lost, that you're not overgiving, and then you worry about it. Did I overgive? Oh, I gave too much, and then you become resentful. Because if you get to that place of resentful, it's no longer giving. Now there's an agenda involved. So just be pure. Go to your purity and serve from that place and be pure love.
Thank you very, very, very